Welcome to this week's 726. We're here in the studio with Troy Burleson and Glenn Redding, and they're from BA Hard Target. It's a new business on the square. It's on the actually the west side of the square. And one of the questions I asked you before we started this interview was, what is BA? You know, people look at that and say, well, that's Bernie and Allen, or
Last night someone thought it was Burleson Academy, right?
Yeah, there you
Well,
go.
it actually stands for to be a hard target instead of be a soft target.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what is a hard target?
Hard target
Define that.
is not a victim target. It's a target that someone would not want to probably spend time on. They want to go to something else that was a lot less softer.
Okay. Okay. So you set yourself up with this new business to be a hard target.
Yes.
And let's go back to the beginning and what your business is. Let's describe that.
We train people how to shoot their weapons more effectively, efficiently, and realistic. So we're a training company.
And is this just for people with concealed carry licenses, or is this a precursor to that?
It's both. It's
Okay.
We believe that when you get your concealed carry license, it's just a beginning, and then you need to start training. But we can also help you prepare to get your concealed carry license.
So
also.
you offer that.
We do.
That venue, or that way of doing that. Okay. Well, how long this has kind of been a long process to get this thing up and running. So you've been talking about it for over a year, right?
It has, but I've been on the road for 6 years with my simulator, and we've been training all over the country and been collecting data and getting everything just right. So when I opened here, all the bugs is worked out, all the curriculum is in place. It's that 6 years meant a lot.
So the whole thing's laid out. And I want to talk about the what this whole scenario is and what the format is when somebody comes into your business. It's not like a shooting range as they would be used to seeing, but it's a real world environment, so to speak.
It is. It's a virtual shooting range.
Okay.
And it's the same equipment that the FBI uses at Quantico. The Secret Service trains every law enforcement in the country and the academies. And I decided to bring that technology to civilians.
Okay. So when somebody comes in, do they start off in a beginning stage, or how does all that work?
We make an assessment of we watch them, see where they're at with their skill level, and some come in that are really, really good. Some come in, they carry their gun like this and said, I've never really handled this gun before, and I'm afraid
Like Glenn,
of it.
that's what he does when he brings his gun.
So it's from that point of very beginning to even an expert shooter. We've had competitive shooters come in and say they are learning a lot by coming in.
Okay. Yeah. So you never can learn too much.
I don't think so.
Yeah. And we were talking earlier that the way police used to be taught would be in a shooting range situation, but this takes them into an environment where they have to think on their feet, right?
They do. It's a very dynamic environment. We can change scenarios and endings, so it can change based on what you do. As a police officer for many years, we would go to the range, we would pull our gun, and we would shoot at a very static target. And there was no stress. It was more like a laboratory, go down and do this. But we found out that if you don't train realistic, that when you get in a realistic situation, that you don't have the training for that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, what's your role down there, Glenn?
Just to help any way that we can.
Okay.
Our concern is that there's a lot of people that get concealed carry permits and then they put the gun down and they never pull it out, except if they're going to take a trip. They put it on the seat of their car, but they're not comfortable with it. And it's not just being comfortable, but it's being safe. And so when you figure how many people have concealed weapon permits, and a lot of people don't have them because they didn't know where to go to get good training for it, then that could be dangerous for the community. So what we're doing is safety is a big part of it. Anything we do, they might have a birthday party. Troy might schedule it where they've got, so your 16-year-olds want to have some competition shooting. Down at
Oh,
Hard
you could do
Target.
that, okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And he'll set that up, but the very beginning is safety. And that's every course. The very beginning is safety, because we want to make sure that if you pull that gun out, that you know where that barrel is pointed, and that your finger's not on that trigger, because we don't want any accidental shooting. So not only will it make you a better shooter, and it'll make you a safer shooter, and that makes the community more safe.
Yeah. I think that's important to to establish that non-complacency? Because if you handle a gun all the time, you get a little complacent. I would think, if you're not really thinking smart.
I think
Right.
a lot of accidents come with people that have
Being
a lot of
complacent.
experience. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's
The
right.
great thing about it too is you're not buying boxes of shells. You go to the range, you're going to buy a bunch of ammunition,
Right,
right?
right, yeah.
When you go down there, you're paying for whatever time you're there, or for whatever specialty course you may be having, because he's got different courses for different things.
And let's talk about the equipment that you use, the firearms. They're not working firearms, they're electronic firearms. Is that correct?
They're Glock 17s and they're trainers.
They're trainers,
They're
okay.
a regular Glock 17, except where the firing pin has not been drilled. That's all.
So it's the same weight and
Everything.
feel of a real firearm.
Absolutely.
Okay. And what about the action? You pull the trigger and you actually feel the trigger
We
engage?
pull the trigger, the trigger engages. We take the recoil off, because recoil is what creates bad habits. And so we can train you in all your fundamentals and make sure it's perfect. And then take you to the range, and of course, we believe in live fire too. We take you to the range to validate your training.
Okay. And this is outside your shop on the square?
Yep.
Okay.
So most people have only had the ability to range train, and when that happens, because of the blast and you get tired on the range, and when you get tired, you continue to shoot, and you get bad habits because of that. And so we believe that 80% of all your training should be a non-recoil training, which is dry fire, and then 20% should be on range training.
Okay. So that's
And his instructors are almost every one of them are police officers or former police officers, and if they're not, they're highly advanced in firearms training. So they watch when you're shooting to see what you're doing to help you. A lot of guys come in, I've been shooting all my life, and they pull that gun up, and all of a sudden they can't shoot what they thought they could.
Right.
And so we look, well, they're not holding the gun right.
right.
And
Okay.
there's many things that you do that are just simple things that we can fix by watching what you're doing and having one of our instructors who have
So it's
been
not a
on-
recreational. I mean, it is to a certain degree, but you're training them specific traits and techniques on
That's
how
right.
they can utilize and be safe in the
They're
process.
getting professional training from professional instructors.
Okay.
And some of the best instructors from around the area are there.
Well, I was looking over the brochure you have, and I encourage everyone to go by the what's your address down there on the square?
It's 126 Willow Street.
Which is the
West.
west side of the square. And they have these little trifold brochures that you can pick up down there. They're red in color. And they just go through the different hours of training. You have training rates.
I do.
You have a CHCL license, which is a course to obtain a CHCL license. That's 6 hours. And that's priced at $65. What do you get? What do you get for that? You get a classroom situation,
And
training,
range.
and range.
And live fire, right.
And there's an enhanced carry. You have monthly rates. Explain that a little bit.
We do. You can get a monthly rate would be coming in twice a week for 30 minutes, getting trigger time. You can
Okay.
get probably 250 rounds fired off during that
Oh,
time.
wow. That's
probably
cheap
with an
compared to what you'd buy in
Absolutely.
ammunition.
with
Yeah.
an instructor, and you get all that for $49 a month.
Okay. And do you pick your scenarios, or do you have random scenarios that you can choose from?
We have about 80 different ranges that
Okay.
you can come in and shoot, a wide variety of skill building things, and then we can get into scenarios later, right?
And then we have seminars, like you said, birthday parties, corporate events. So if an entire business wants to train all of their employees, this would be a perfect
It
way
is
to do
not
that.
only train, but they do. I've had a lot of calls now for team building for different corporations. They just want to come down and be able to do things together and shoot together, and it's a very safe way to do that. We just had a great birthday party, and we had about 12 kids down there, around that 14 to 16-year-old, and we talked about safety and responsibility and their weapon protocol in their house, and the parents were loving that, and the
Cool,
kids
yeah.
had just such a good time.
Good.
And
Well, talking about age, what is the youngest, or give us an age range that you
if
can
you're
pick.
18 and over, you can come down and use our facility. If you're 16 to 17, you have to get a parent to come down and sign a permission, and then they would be able to come down and shoot. Anybody less than 16 years old, 15, it has to be with company with a parent.
Now, have you had your open house yet?
We have not. We just opened our doors, had a soft
Okay.
opening,
Right.
and we had such a tremendous amount of people come by. It was great.
Cool.
Probably going to have a hard grand opening sometime
In the
late
future?
late March. Yeah.
Can people come down now and you give them a little light tour?
Absolutely,
of
they
what it's
come
all
down
about?
and they can try the simulator out, take
Okay.
a tour of our facility, see what we have to offer. Yeah.
All right. What else do we need to cover?
Our hours right now are 11 to 8.
Okay.
11 in the morning till 8 in the
8 at
evening.
night. Why do you stay there so late?
But people get off work and they come
Yeah.
and they want to shoot. And
You know, if you've got a friend that likes to shoot, on Friday night we're going to have competition shooting. Tell them about
Oh,
that.
okay. Okay.
we do. A lot of the competition shooters around the area came over and said, we want a night that we can come and compete. It's climate controlled. It's really tough to be shooting on the range at 17 degrees right now.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, or raining or snowing or
Sure,
heat.
sure, yeah.
And so every Friday night we're going to have a competition.
So
And,
is it one person at a time, or how does the competition? Do you go by best score?
yeah, best lowest score,
Lowest
best
score, yeah.
score. Yeah, we've got probably 12 different categories that you can compete in, and it's fun.
Yeah.
It scores on time and accuracy both. So you could be the fastest shooter and not get the best score because you may be fast, but you might miss target. So and you
Sure.
so it's a
Okay.
combination of the time plus you're shooting. You're shooting with another guy, and it'll throw an arrow over there at the end, show you how many seconds that
Oh,
you did it
that's-
compared to
that's
the other
cool,
guy,
yeah.
and then at the end of the night, who did the best? Their name can go on a board, and then next week you can come back and see if you can outdo that shooting.
Okay.
So it's
You
pretty
compete
remarkable.
against yourself. Cool.
We've got some events coming up. I'm hosting an active shooter event, which is a civilian response to active shooter, and it's totally free for the general public. And I have to say this, but it's already full. I put 50 slots out there, and I've already got 50 people in. So I'm going to have to
Very
have
nice.
another one coming up right after this to accommodate more people.
Cool.
But every month we're going to have some sort of free seminar for the general public.
Nice. Well, it sounds like you guys have hit your niche.
Well, I feel it. I feel like we're having fun and we're teaching people.
Well, that's the first part, having
Yeah.
fun with what you know and in an area that you are passionate about. And I know you guys, both guys, are passionate about this topic.
And we've had some people call us too about church security. And
Yep.
so Troy's doing
Okay.
church
We've had-
security and teaching those guys that are assigned for security
Okay.
in that church how to be safe with what they do.
Well, you know, we hate to think that we hate to think that we possibly live in a world where what we hear on the news could affect us, but it's great to be trained and at least be aware of things that can happen and how to.
I have a lot of clients around Northwest Arkansas, Little Rock, Conway, Cabot, that are big churches. And but for the churches in Boone County, I'm going to do that completely free for them.
Oh,
So the first 4
Okay.
contacts I have with them will be totally free.
good, good.
We feel that's our mission.
Well, let's get that word out to them.
Yeah.
All right, guys. The name of the business is BA Hard Target Shooting Academy. It's 126 Willow Street on the west side of the Harrison Square. You can give them a call at 870-577-1684. And these are the guys to look for when you go in, and go by and check out the facility and take a little tour of the facility there, and I'm sure you'll get addicted.
Absolutely. It's
All
fun.
right.
Fun stuff.
Thanks, guys.
All
Appreciate
right,
it.
thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Dan.
And we'll be right back.